Hi everyone, and welcome to our April market update and review for you. So I thought this time I would maybe break down what we'll cover because the month is pretty similar to previous months. Equally strong, which is fantastic to share with you. But I thought it'd be good if I go into a little bit more detail for you. So I'm going to cover the market, which will be about unemployment rate as well. I want to talk about temp, I want to talk about perm, and then give you some advice for hiring managers at the moment and for anyone who's out on the job seeker piece and candidates. So first of all, the unemployment rate. So it's amazing, it's sitting at 5.8%. So normally that would be a fantastic indicator for the economy, and it is. But it's also a tiny bit concerning for anyone who is looking to hire, build your business, growth, all of those things, and you need people to do that. So, there are strategies in place, so you don't need to be overly concerned, but you absolutely need to be aware of that. Now, the underemployment rate, which is the one that I always talk about because that is, I think, the real key and says where we really are sitting. That's at 8.5%. Now, that is an improvement on last year, so that's good news. But it's actually increased on the previous month. So what that says to me, again, if we look at the definition of that, so the definition of the underemployment rate is anyone that is receiving an income. It could be 1 hour, it could be 4 hours, but ideally you want permanent work. So for that to be at the level that is, that says to me there's a lot of people that maybe sit in that category, and maybe it's also saying that there's been a lot of people who have come off the job seeker and are in a role that might be casual or part-time, but are still looking for some permanent work. So bear that in mind, I think, please. Now, what else to share with you? So for people who are under 35, the current unemployment rate is sitting at 8.5% compared to people who are over 35 is sitting at 4.2%. That's a significant difference. So again, share that with you because I wanted to give you a little bit more detail, a bit more context to what we share with you every month. So that's really interesting, and I think something to be bearing in mind depending on where you're hiring at the moment. Especially interesting given that I think I shared with you last time or maybe it was in a blog, my concern on the aging workforce and are we being too ageist in who we're looking to hire. So interesting to consider that. So job flow is equally strong. I mentioned last month that one of the things to look at is not just you have one strong month in terms of job flow, you really want consistency and you want it to be constant. So I can report to you from our perspective, from our end, that's certainly been the case, and fingers crossed, toes crossed, that continues to go along the same path. Now the job flow for us, so we go across all industries and all sectors, but predominantly the jobs for us are sitting in prof services and financial services. So I share it again with you because that sort of says that they're the growth areas and where the sort of jobs are sitting at the moment. Okay, the market by temp and perm. So temp market for candidates is particularly tight, so even tighter than the permanent pool, and this is due to, probably as you may have guessed, the working holiday visa candidates are less, so there's no one coming into the country for that, and the people who are on those visas are coming to an end as well. So that is a real, I think, issue for anyone who's looking to hire perm. It's not a deal breaker by any stretch, but what it is, meaning that you probably have to be a tiny bit more organised or communicate a little bit more in advance if you can with the agency that you're dealing with. I know that's hard because the nature of temp is a sort of an urgent requirement. My advice though is when you're briefing an agency, brief one agency, work exclusively with that one agency, and they will deliver for you. I know every single temp order we receive, we do fill, but it's just a matter of managing expectations in terms of it might take us an extra couple of hours or maybe a day to fill that order for you instead of the normal quicker time process that it used to be. Now, the other good thing with sharing with you about temp is that a really nice chunk of our job flow and revenue for this month has been from temp to perm conversions. So I share that with you because that's a really strong strategy for anyone who's looking to hire. So if you've got candidates that are temping with you at the moment and you really like them, they're doing a fantastic job and it's mutual, I would encourage you to hire sooner than later. So on average, our temp to perm conversions are sitting at 2 weeks at the moment. Now, the reason I am sharing that with you is because if you leave it a little bit longer than that, you need to sort of remember the mindset of the person that's temping with you. If they're looking for a permanent role, they're still going to be interviewing for perm roles at the moment. So they won't have job security even though they're temping. And in your mind, you might think, oh, everything's okay, that person's wonderful, they're doing a really good job, I feel great about them, but you need to give them some security as well if you like them. So I would say if you like them, hire, and do use temp to perm as a possible strategy for you as well. And that's also a good option for candidates as well to consider that. Perm. Okay, perm market is as strong as it has been previously. The pool for candidates is as tight as it has been. Again, my advice for hiring managers, and I was going to keep this to the end, but it's sort of mingling in, is to keep your processes really tight. So no delays in your process because the candidates have multiple opportunities. Now, something to also consider are counter offers, because that is absolutely apparent in the market at the moment, and there's strong counter offers. So if you've got a candidate that has been put to you and there's a range in salary, and the range in salary, for argument's sake, is 10K, my advice to you is err on the higher end of that 10K. Don't go right in at base level, because then you're just going to get into a negotiation and going backwards and forwards, and it just doesn't set the right tone. We can't afford in this market to be using that as a play strategy, is my advice for you. So back to salaries for a second. So we're also seeing that candidates who registered with us, say 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, 1 month ago, are coming back to us to say, please take me out of the running for any jobs now because my boss is giving me a pay increase. So we're also seeing that as a retention strategy for current employers with their staff levels. So something to all think about. So advice for hiring managers, obviously your process, please make it as tight as possible. Consider shortlist. So our average shortlist for last month were 1 to 2 candidates. So bear that in mind when you're receiving shortlists from whoever it might be, if it's your internal people or another external agency. The days of long shortlists are certainly gone. Check your offering. So please make sure that what your salary offering is on market, and everything else that comes with that as well. Advice for candidates, do consider temp if you are available, and be really nice and transparent with everything with your agency that you're dealing with, and also be really sure if you're going to market to look for another job. So I would advise any people who are job seeking who are currently employed to maybe talk to your boss to see if there are anything else that you can be doing in your job at the moment, or if there's any extra learning or whatever that you can do, because what you don't want to do is go through the process to be counter offered if you'd actually just prefer to be where you are. So I hope that that you have enjoyed what I've just shared with you. I'm sorry for talking quickly, I always do, but I just wanted to give you everything I possibly could. And also I did forget to say Happy Easter. I hope you had a fantastic long weekend. Thank you so much.